Welcome back to the channel, guys. Very excited about today's video. And in today's video, I want to discuss the evolution in composer symphonies, as well as the rise of artificial intelligence, AI, in investing, specifically within composer software. So I'm one of the earliest composer users, I think maybe one of the first 10 or 20. So I've been able to follow the company as it's grown and as the symphonies have changed over this period of time. And I've noticed basically that there's four generations of symphonies. So that's what I want to talk about. So the first generation of symphonies is really just a rebalancing or a laundry list style symphony. And so what do I mean when I say that? So a laundry list style symphony is just a list of single stocks or ETFs and they're rebalanced. Um, and rebalancing is just, maybe it's going to rebalance every quarter, every year. And these are strategies that people could have created in Motif and other platforms previous to Composer. And the second generation of symphonies that developed within Composer, and really what distinguished Composer from a lot of the previous platforms is the ability to use logic, the ability to use if this, then that. So just a quick off the cuff second generation style symphony would be if SPY is above its 200-day moving average, own UPRO, else BIL, short-term bonds. So that would be a second generation. And the third generation symphony, one could also call them the Discord symphonies, the Garrett Phillips symphonies. Just like I was one of Composer's earliest users, I believe, from my understanding, I was the first person to start filming videos on YouTube about Composer. And so Garrett Phillips was the second one, and he started doing videos, and he started really creating these brilliant, complex symphonies when he started. And that kind of makes sense because Garen came to investing really more from a day trading, swing trading, a trading background. Whereas previous to Composer, I was much more focused on fundamental investing, Benjamin Graham, David Dodd, Warren and Charlie at Berkshire, and really wasn't much interested in kind of day trading and swing trading. What attracted me to Composer, though, was the rules-based approach to that, and being able to build systems based on logic. And so that was what drew me in. But anyway, so Garen kind of took it to a whole nother level with his YouTube videos, and then the Discord was created, and then other people started coming in and taking these symphonies and adding to them and editing them and putting symphonies within symphonies within symphonies. And so it's just a whole nother world with these third generation symphonies. And now the fourth generation symphony, what I would call, is basically being able to build a symphony with AI. And what I would say, and it's not there yet, maybe what a fifth generation symphony, I'm just thinking of this now, would be able to put a third generation symphony into AI. So a very complex, and I'll show you one in a second here, symphony, and saying, optimize this symphony for total return, or optimize this symphony for Sortino ratio, or reduce the total drawdown, so on and so forth. So that might be a fifth generation. I don't believe there right now with the AI, but we'll see. So let's get started. So let's just take a look at a first generation symphony. So let's just come over to this screen here. So let's reduce my screen. So this right here is covered call ETFs. It's what I would call a laundry list symphony. It's just a list of all of the covered call ETFs that I just Googled and found. QYLD, JEPI, NUSI are probably the most well-known of those. They're right here. The one I found recently and didn't put in is, I believe it's DJIA. That's a Dow covered call, so maybe I'll add that in. You can see every year it's just rebalancing the covered call ETFs. And this is something that you could have built in Motif, right? So it's just a basic symphony. Let's look at another one, which I would call kind of just a rebalancing symphony. This is the hedge fundy strategy, well known on the internet. It's a 55 UPRO, 45 TMF, rebalanced every quarter. Very basic. You can see, let's go live. The annualized is 42 from January. I ran it before January, so you can look at, let's look at simulated on hedge fundy. Let's go 3 years. So you can see the last 3 years is definitely underperformed. SPY, let's go back here. Let's go to 2016. It's outperformed just slightly since 2016 at 13.7% annualized. So there you go. So these are first generation Symphony. So now let's look at a second generation Symphony. And I believe this one, if I'm not mistaken, was at one point on the Composer Discover page. Not 100% sure on that. Let's take a look at it. You can see this one's done well. It's annualized is 93. Put in 2000, it's at 2200, so it's done well. And you can see it's a pretty basic symphony, but it takes it another level. You couldn't do this on Motif and other platforms previous to Composer. Every quarter asks whether the BND 60-day cumulative return is above the BIL 60-day cumulative return. If yes, risk on. If no, risk off. And then for risk on, it's using momentum here. It's picking one asset from the highest 90-day cumulative return. And risk off is medium-term bonds, IEF. You could also swap that out probably for BIL or BND, whatever you wanted. Just the basic on the logic, and I don't want to get too deep in that. The idea here is that if long-term bonds are above short-term bonds, you're in a risk-on period. But if short-term bonds are above the return and short-term bonds are above long-term bonds, it's likely that there's some kind of panic or volatility going on because people are buying short-term bonds. They're selling stocks and buying short-term bonds because they're scared. And so that would be the risk off. And so you can see the Symphony's done well. Now, I want you to look at the logic. It's pretty basic logic, right? It's not long here. So now let's go to a third generation Symphony. And this one here was created by Derek Nielsen. As I mentioned in the Discord, there's some really intelligent people. Eric Snellman, Derek Nielsen, Jaewon Jung, Garrett Phillips, and there's people by their screen name, D's, Hinnen TX. There's a bunch of different people, and Ronnie is another guy in there. Ronnie does a lot of edits on Symphony. So, yeah. So, Vox Machina, Jackal. There's just, Jason Coase. There's a lot of people building in that Discord and working with each other in there. But this is what I would call a third generation Symphony. And the difference here, I want you to look at the length of the lie. You see the annualized return is kind of wild. And the criticism on a lot of the Discord Symphonies, the third generation Symphonies, that they're backside hindsight bias, overfit. And so that's a lot of the criticism. But you can see, look at the length here in this. So I'm just starting on the logic. And I'm scrolling. You can see a lot of the third generation Symphonies involve the VIX, so targeting volatility itself. And I'm still scrolling. You can see SQQQ, inverse, triple leverage inverse. So you can see still scrolling. The adjective that I like to use as a reference to Jim Simmons and Rentech, I call these kind of Rentechy. It's what I imagine to a certain extent. Rentech, they're building really complicated symphonies. building symphonies within symphonies. Still scrolling, and you can see I'm only a quarter of the way down, so it goes on and on and on. So yeah, so that just kind of gives you a sense, on a third generation symphony. And we'll see on the returns here. I mean, obviously, I'm running it with real capital. Let's go to live. So just a short amount of time I've been running this. So you can see it's pretty much almost dead flat since I started running it. It's annualized because I guess from starting January. But yeah, so it's interesting to me because I hope to be running these for 3, 5, 8, 10 years. So we'll be able to see with real capital, and I can't really cheat this or hide this, how these will do over the long term. And that's what really interests me about a lot of the third generation symphonies. So now let's look at what a fourth generation symphony is. So we're going to go new symphony. Now, we're in the editor. Normally you would start building in here, but now they just added this the other day, create with AI. So we want to go in and say, build a blend of Ray Dalio's all-weather, Warren Buffett's 90-10, and David Swenson's strategy. Okay, so look at this. So now the AI, artificial intelligence, is building a blend of all weather, Warren Buffett's 90-10, and David Swenson's. He was the portfolio manager. He ran the Yale endowment that did very well. So now you can see, now what we can do is we can then click on insert and backtest. So you can see now it's underperformed from an annualized return, but if you look at, it's had a lower max drawdown. So you can see 7.9, 12.5. So now what I can do is I can either continue to use the AI editor, or I can go in and make some changes. So why don't we do this? Let's go in and let's try to X out of that. And let's just add UPRO for VTI and some of the strategies and see what that does. UPRO. UPRO. Now I could have gone in and had AI do this, which maybe I should have done, but I just kind of wanted to manually do it. So you can do, it's a mix of human and AI here. And then let's run that. 15.4. So let's go run. So you can see just by blending the three and adding UPRO, I've outperformed SPY. You can see here, Cal-Moore ratio is almost exactly even. And now it's had a little bit of a higher max drawdown, but you're outperforming almost by 3 percentage points here. So that just kind of gives you a sense of, let's click on this. Let's do this. Let's do one more. Let's say, can you build a strategy based on fast food stocks with an RSI element to the symphony? Okay, so now it's going to build one Fast food stocks with RSI. I mean, this is like, to me, mind blowing. I'm literally having a conversation here um, with the AI building symphonies. Um, so basically, it's showing here McDonald's when the RSI is above 30, own McDonald's. Um, Stay in cash. So this is probably unlikely to outperform SPY. Let's see. So it looks like it's going to choose Starbucks, Yum Brands, which is a conglomerate of different fast food companies. It's got Starbucks, Domino's, and you're holding BIL, which is cash. So I don't think this one, well, let's see, is going to outperform. It might have a nice Sortino ratio, though. Rebalance monthly. So let's do insert and back test. It's almost, actually, look, it's outperformed. I was wrong. Fast food stocks with RSI. So here is the, let's close the AI. So you can see a 14-day relative strength index of McDonald's is greater than 30, you're earning this. Otherwise, you're in short-term bonds. Wow. So going back to 2016, this is an outperform. Maybe I should save this one. But just wanted to give you a sense of that. And then to me, and I don't know how that would work. Maybe it is possible, but basically to be able to like click on create with AI, upload, I guess maybe you could insert, you could copy one of the third generation. Maybe I'll save this for another video. I'll kind of play around and see if it's possible. Copy the code from the third generation, insert it into here, and then say optimize this for. So maybe that would be like a fifth generation. Maybe that is possible. But yeah, pretty impressive stuff here, guys. With what they're doing, and yeah, very excited about it. Just we'll do a quick little end this video with just sort of a portfolio update. You can see up big here, 246. Let's see here. So we're 246,718 in Composer, and then big day in TD as well, 478,744. So 725. So hanging around 725 between the two accounts. Doing very well with the investing, but really excited on the future of Composer and what they're gonna unveil next. But especially with this AI chat box, it's really quite unique. So anyways, that's it for today. Any questions, comments, feel free to write in. Take care. Ciao.